that you can actually use the points that you generate, can use your purchasing power to actually drive changes in behaviour in the community. And I think that's a great opportunity for people to use their points in a really, socially very useful way.
The Westpac Landcare Term Deposit is another way of helping the environment and is available at any Westpac branch. The money is directed to landcare farmers who practice sustainable agriculture.
Westpac's Landcare Term Deposit is another way that individuals wanting to put some funding into, some great projects, wanting to, you might have some money that you want to put into something. It's a great way of actually helping out some of those fantastic landcare projects that are going on around Australia. It's a way of letting your money go to work on some landcare projects. So go in and ask a Westpac contact about the Westpac Landcare Term Deposit, and you'll be helping out landcare while you're making a good investment.
By switching from paper statements to e-statements, in 18 months to December 2006, 280,000 Westpac customers have helped save 140 tonnes of greenhouse gases and 740 trees.
One of the things I think we've done quite successfully is a thing we call our e-statements initiative, and that was simply realising that we could solve a number of problems, but particularly have environmental impacts if we could provide the means to make it easy for people not to receive paper statements, but to be able to get statements electronically. And so we give our customers now 7 years of statements online, so they don't have to get paper statements. Has other great benefits as well. So it not only reduces emissions, and we've really cut emissions dramatically, it actually helps the water problem, because you cut paper usage, you don't need as much water to be consumed in making the paper in the first place, and that's been quite substantial in our case. It saves costs for us, which we can then put back into other things, which we are. And it also helps deal with this problem that people do have trouble. What do you do with old statements? How do you dispose of them?
Westpac was nominated as the world's most sustainable bank in 2006 for the 5th year in a row. And in July 2003, when the Equator Principles were launched, Westpac was the only Australian bank to sign up out of 11 financial institutions worldwide. In adopting the Equator Principles, Westpac provides loans only to projects which comply with processes that ensure they are developed in a socially responsible manner and according to sound environmental management practices. As a direct result, a number of transactions were declined during the past year, several for reasons including environmental concerns. As other businesses shift their focus to protecting the environment, the economy too will benefit from change.
It's interesting to look at how economies will change over the next sort of 10, 20, 30 years. Can't be predicted exactly, of course. But what we know is every single time world economies or countries' economies have become innovative because of change, they boom. It might take a little while, but they do eventually boom. And in fact, you could almost say when economies try and stay exactly like they are, they usually fail after a while. So what I think we will see is innovative products, innovative services. We will find all sorts of new renewable energy businesses coming into being. Australia will clearly still export lots and lots of minerals, but maybe we will be involved in exporting, for example, clean coal technology. Innovation is really the key way forward.
The reason banks are pretty much at the core of this is that in very much they perform a role. They're a bit like the veins of the economy. So whatever happens to industry sectors flows back and impacts the operating environment of banks and their risk profile. And so climate change in particular, the most noticeable areas for Australia, for example, if we don't address climate change and get on top of the problems, then in fact it's going to have fundamental impacts on tourism, particularly the agricultural sector. It'll also have big impacts on the resources sector as well.
Making this transition away from fossil fuels or emissions-based or greenhouse gas emissions-based technologies is going to require considerable technical innovation, technology development and implementation. And that's going to have benefits not only in terms of research, in terms of jobs, in terms of developing new sectors for investment, but wider benefits because that technology and that innovation is likely to spill out into other areas and sectors of the economy.
It's important to act now to reduce our emissions and slow down climate change. As a global problem, everyone needs to take responsibility. We need to do this not just to benefit ourselves, but for future generations.
Now that we're beginning to get the message that we need to do something and do it fairly quickly, I think we still have time to make a huge difference, but really only if everybody gets behind this problem and really seeks out the ways to make a difference. So I think what lies ahead is a really conscious approach to consumption, a conscious approach to resource use, and really putting our best minds onto this issue, because it's a huge challenge.
And undoubtedly, this is just a massive threat to our future. But I think we can be optimistic that it is a matter of political, business and leadership will to tackle these problems. But we have the means to do so. So I'm optimistic that we can. But we need to start now, and we need to really get moving on this.
I'm always optimistic with regard to people, and particularly when their backs are to the wall, that they actually can come out, innovate and fight and win. We've always managed to do it in times past. The fundamental difference this time is we have to do it as a world.
I'm really optimistic about the future because I think that we have the power to make these differences right now. We really need to act now to help stop climate change. And I think in the future we'll see things on our products like an environmental price tag or a carbon price tag. So not only will you see the cost of an item, but you will also see the impact that has on the environment. So it will make it easy for families to reduce their environmental impact in the future.
Look, I think it's really difficult to hold in your head the idea that we are facing a threat to civilization, right, of really, really monumental proportions, and yet we need to be positive and optimistic. And that's really actually very hard to internalise both those ideas at once, but that's where we need to go. So we need to recognise that we are not talking anymore about a significant environmental issue. We are talking about a fundamental threat to civilization and its future, but that we can do something about that. That it's no longer, overwhelming as an issue. We know that we can cut CO2 pollution quickly and easily if we decide to do so. This is not, despite what you hear, this is not a difficult issue to fix. We just haven't decided to fix it yet. So the power of individual action, the power of companies getting behind this, the power of school kids getting behind this, we can achieve an extraordinary amount in a remarkably short period of time once we put our minds to it. And having faith, therefore, in human ingenuity and technology and people's ability to change their behaviour. Now, we can see a radical shift in a very short period of time, and now we're at that point in history where people have decided now's the time, so now we just need to get on with it and get on with the job.
For more information about what actions you can take to minimise climate change, go to these websites: ACF Online, Easy Being Green, Landcare Online, wwf.org.au, csiro.gov.au and greenhouse.gov.au. To find out details about what Westpac is doing when it comes to the environment, go to www.westpac.com.au/corporate responsibility.